Thank you for joining us on this Friday, the 17th day of May 2019, live from the Nation's Center. NTV Weekend Edition starts right now. Tonight, Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala and former CS Rashid Echesa among those arrested a day after Interior CS Fred Matiang'i promised action on insecurity in Matungu. Also tonight, Chief Justice David Maraga warns judges and magistrates against allowing suspects to conceal their identities in court. Plus, one dead in Kiamaiko violence sparked by a religious quarrel as residents fight amongst themselves and fight the police. And
ile mabadiliko wananchi hawa wanangojea ni ya barabara, ya maji.
Lakini Kenya isipobadilika, hiyo pesa ya maji ambayo vile tuliona juzi imewekwa katika ile damu ya Aror na Kimwarer iliibiwa yote.
Now loading a new political song and refrain, and the day parliamentary leadership fell apart.
Knew nothing about existence of an health bill being presented to the president until a few minutes just before the president signed it.
Why go to State House, take a photo with the president when he's signing a bill, and then come around back and then, start crying like a small kid?
The quest for new political agreements on Bullseye.
This is NTV Weekend Edition with Edmond Nyabola.
Welcome to the broadcast. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Raphael Mbalo. Now, Chief Justice David Maraga has warned judges and magistrates against allowing suspects who try to conceal their identity in court. In an internal memo, the Chief Justice warns judges that they must ensure suspects are matched physically to the charges they are facing to avoid being seen as perpetuating impunity. The order by the CJA follows the release of some 38 staff of the Kenya Revenue Authority who have been accused of aiding tax evasion on a 200,000 shillings cash bail each. NTV's Silas Apollo begins our broadcast.
Chief Justice David Maraga, while appearing to be responding to questions by the public on why courts are allowing suspects to hide their identity, said such conduct has now become a matter of concern. Maraga argues that while every individual has a right to privacy, that right cannot supersede the administration of justice. He says that the concealing of faces has made it difficult for courts to physically link suspects to the crimes they are facing in court while taking plea. Maraga has instead asked judges and magistrates not to allow such a conduct, which he says could bring the courts to disrepute. This directive by Maraga comes just days after suspects linked to the evasion of taxes at the Kenya Revenue Authority appeared in court with their faces concealed from the prying eyes of the cameras and the public. Of the at least 80 suspects, 38 were today released on a 200,000 shillings cash bail each after their lawyers managed to convince the court.
For the lot we had it on Monday, we are mentioning on 27?
That's correct.
Yeah, I want all of them to come back on 27th May.
The suspects are said to have been part of the group that has been aiding businesses and individuals blacklisted by KRA to evade tax, leading to the loss of money running into hundreds of millions of shillings. But their arrest has elicited debate, with some questioning why some senior staff of the taxman were not part of those arrested. The argument is that the arrest of the 38 was a scheme to protect the big fish who was said to have presided over the pilferage and the mess at KRA. There are those in KRA who have also questioned the continued stay of Commissioner General John Giraini at the helm of the KRA. He has been in charge of the tax collection body at a time when targets have been missed and the alleged corruption has been happening. He appears to enjoy the protection of senior Jubilee administration officials. Giraini, who is said to have taken a terminal leave to prepare for his exit following the purge by detectives at KRA, was quietly recalled in what the board, led by Chairman Francis Mudhaura, said was a decision to help manage the crisis caused by the arrests. But that decision is now said to have caused a disquiet at the institution, with insiders questioning the rationale used by the board to recall him. Board Chairman Mudhaura had earlier defended the decision, saying Giraini was the one best suited to clear the mess created by the arrests and the crackdowns, and that the ongoing investigations were initiated from within. Silas Apollo, NTV.
Now, the Treasury has admitted to releasing funds to pay members of Parliament their house allowances amounting to 250,000 shillings. However, in an interesting twist, Treasury says it released the money on the 29th of April according to Parliament's budget and advised Parliament to pay according to the law, which meant seeking approval from the Salaries and Remuneration Commission or an advisory opinion from the Attorney General. NTV's Ken Mijungu reports that the parliamentarians are on their own.
In a letter that is likely to cause further division between the Salaries and Remuneration Commission and the legislators, Treasury says it directed the payment of house allowances be done according to the law. The letter also indicates that funds for allowances had been released according to the votes as captured in the entity's budgets. For the National Assembly, a total of 510 million shillings, 56,451 was released, while 98 million shillings, 338,709 was released to the Senate for house allowances.
These CSs are provided with all manner of facilitation, GK vehicles. That does not happen to a member of Parliament. And therefore we say no, we will go ahead and pay our members what we had already budgeted for.
SRC, through the Commission's Secretary, Ann Gitao, had written to the Treasury seeking directions on the matter of payment of remunerations and benefits to the members of Parliament.
Why it becomes a problem that a member of Parliament has been given an house allowance is something I do not understand. So I have no problem with them getting the house allowance. I only have a problem if the process that give them or ended in their allocation or in the allowance of the house allowance is out of order or is inconsistent with the laid down procedures or rules, then that allowance won't be illegal.
Members of Parliament exploited a legal loophole to award themselves 250,000 shillings monthly house allowance, a High Court ruling that directed that the Salaries and Remuneration Commission to award deputy governors a housing allowance by virtue of being state officers opened up the avenue for more demands. The SRC has since indicated that it's moving to court to have further payments stopped and the monies paid out recovered.
And house benefit is for official functions. So a governor is entitled to an official residence for state functions. So the deputy governor is the same.
The Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, cautioned against discrimination of the members of Parliament on the same grounds. But with this move, it looks as though they are on their own. Ken Mijungu, NTV.
Now, one person has died in the second day of religious-based violence between two groups in Kiamaiko area, that's in Nairobi. It is alleged that the violence was sparked by a noise complaint. Residents of the area fear that the simple misunderstanding may blow out and create serious animosity between the two groups and cause clashes that might be difficult to contain.
Police intervention seemed to have caused more harm than good, causing a simple neighborly row to become a religious conflict that caused a death.
Police station is all about money. It's all about the pocket you have. It's all about what you can do. Sawa, mwenzetu leo amelala hapa, Bura, and he was shot on a close range, AK-47.
Police are said to have confiscated speakers from one group to reduce the noise disturbance. This made the second group to seek revenge by breaking into their neighbor's place of worship and vandalizing the perceived holy grounds.
Nilisikia walisema nini zao zilichukuliwa speaker, and from then walianza kurushania mawe, tukafunga biashara.
Watu wanarusha mawe na moto, na kila mtu hawana imani ya kusubiri watu. Hata hao wengine walianza kurushana mawe na hawa wanarusha kutoka juu. Ndo mazozo zikaanzana wapi?
The anger and animosity harbored by the two warring groups was evident. It took the police great effort to stop the violence.
Lazima wote wa side zote wakae chini, wasikizane, waongee pamoja, because we really want peace. Sisi wote tunaumia.
The police who attempted to visit the hospital where the deceased was lying awaiting burial was denied entry by the angered residents. Area residents have asked that peace be restored to ensure that they continue to live in harmony. Charity Mwangi, NTV.
Now let's turn our focus to lawyer Asa Nyakundi's case. The Office of the Prosecution has accused Kiambu Magistrate Teresia Nyongena of open bias against the prosecution over some of her decisions that it claims have favored the accused. In a blunt statement in court, Prosecution Counsel Catherine Mwaniki listed instances where the prosecution alleges the magistrate displayed open bias. NTV's Jane Goiri has more.
In a new twist in the Asa Nyakundi murder case, Prosecution Counsel Catherine Mwaniki lashed out at the magistrate Teresia Nyongena, who has been at the center of the ongoing case, finding fault with how the magistrate has handled some of the issues that have come before her. The prosecutor accused the magistrate of acting irresponsibly when she so many times issued decisions that she said were openly biased against the prosecution and in favor of the accused. Catherine pointed out at a series of what she called hasty and ill-conceived decisions by the magistrate.
On the issue of conspiracy to defeat justice, we have intelligence information indicating prior contact to influence this honorable court.
The prosecutor further charged that when the prosecution requested for more time to respond to defense submissions served today morning, the court declined.
For I have perused the court record and there was no record of that from the court proceedings.
But the defense, led by George Hamino and Dunstan Omari, accused the prosecution of not being honest and candid, adding if they had any evidence of the allegations leveled against the court, they would have sought evidence with the magistrate in chambers in the presence of the defense.
All these shenanigans being produced by the prosecution are intended to keep him away from his family.
They further turned the allegations by the state against the court as hot air that should not be entertained, accusing the ODPP of having a fixed mind on the matter, adding that the application by the prosecution was only meant to intimidate the court from exercising its independence. The magistrate will make a ruling on whether to rescue herself or not on the 5th of June this year. Jane Goiri, NTV.
Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala and former Sports Cabinet Secretary Rashid Echesa and Mayoni Member of County Assembly Libinas Uduri have been arrested in connection with the killings witnessed in Matungu. Detectives arrested Malala at the Sovereign Hotel. MCA Libinas Uduri was arrested in Matungu and questioned at the regional police headquarters in Kakamega. At around 6 p.m, Rashid Echesa was escorted to the DCI offices in Kakamega and later transferred to a neighboring police station. Detectives said the politicians were being investigated for incitement and mobilizing youth linked to the gangs that carried out the attacks. Interior CS Fred Matiang'i had promised action on insecurity in Matungu. Employment and Labor Relations Court Judge Bran Ongaya has ordered the National Police Service Commission to pay all graduate police constables salaries equivalent to the Inspector of Police jobs in Job Group J is paid. The 4 officers had filed a suit over the low paying among graduate police officers as well as unfair promotion. NTV's Helen Wanjohi has more details.
The 4 officers, Evans Muthuri, Ruth Odikara, David Ochom and Lynette Njagi, had taken the Inspector General of Police and the Attorney General to court over claims that the Commission had failed to move them to Job Group J after presenting their degree certificates. Officer Muthuri has a degree in Economics and History from Egerton University. Ruth has a degree in Criminology and Security Studies at the same university, and David has a degree in Education from Bugema University. They also argued that since 2015, graduate police constables have been upgraded selectively and that a number of them have been retained in Job Group F, the same as that of police constables without certificates.
Maybe.
In March 2018, former National Police Service Commission Chairman Johnston Kavuludi stated that graduate police with certificates that meet the Commission's approval will have a special salary equivalent to the entitlement of an inspector of police, and assured the officers that the pay is legally protected and provided in the policy guidelines.
We advertise positions normally for constable police officers, and we specify the requirements. And when we specify the requirements, one of those is that you must be of D+, at least when we started, and above. And above includes persons who hold university degrees and a diploma.
In the Commission's defense, however, they claim that the officers had not followed the clear career guidelines and entry levels. Judge Byron stated that the Commission has been unreasonable and unfair to the officers, ordering for the payments to be made by August 1st. Helen Wanjohi, NTV.
Let's take our first short break on NTV Weekend Edition. We still have more, so don't go too far. The Nairobi Securities Exchange has updated the constituent counters of the NSE 20 Share Index as well as the NSE 25 Share Index. On the 20 Share Index, Kenya Airways has replaced Kenol Kobil. The oil marketer was bought by French firm Rubis Energy, prompting its eventual delisting from the NSE. On the 25 Share Index, Total Kenya replaces Kenol Kobil. The delisting of Kenol Kobil has left Total as the only listed oil marketer at the NSE. The 20 Share Index is calculated as a mean of the top 20 best performing counters, while the 25 Share Index represents the performance of the top 25 Kenyan companies. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta has reiterated his commitment to fight corruption, even as some have questioned the pace of prosecution of big fish alleged to have taken part in various scandals. The president spoke during the presidential roundtable with members of the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, where a number of local and foreign companies pledged to expand their output in the country with investment plans that amount to an injection of 40 billion shillings in the economy. During that event, a business council was also launched.
At the heart of transformation of any nation is value addition, processing of its products. That is the magic that our products need. And therein lies value and lies jobs.
It is unfortunate that sometimes this is politicized also, but as I said, this is a fight that Kenya must win, because if we can't create not just a fair environment, but a stable environment, it must also then be transparent. So that once you do your business, you know what you need to do, how you're going to do about it. So your business succeeds not on the basis of who you know, but how you do your business. That should be really what all of us should be focused on. Your business should not succeed or fail based on which government is in power.
The Kenya Union of Savings and Credit Cooperatives has launched an insurance company which will operate as a life insurer in Kenya. Cusco Mutual Assurance grew out of the Risk Management Department, which was a fund that gave SACCOs mutual protection against losses from bad loans. The fund has been operational for over 25 years and has managed the risks of over 1,700 SACCOs. The diversification process, which led to the birth of Cusco Mutual Assurance, began in 2016 when Cusco delegates approved a change in the bylaws allowing for the creation of subsidiaries.
The industry recorded a growth of 6.3% to hit 209 billion in premium in year 2017 from 196.6 billion posted in the year 2016.
Cusco Mutual also happens to be the first mutual insurance company in this country, and I hope with time people in the insurance sector and even in the cooperative movement will get to understand and appreciate the difference between a mutual insurance company and other insurance companies.
Penetration is still at 3% and about 1% for the life business. In the Vision 2030, the authority is looking at growing penetration to rates of about 5%. So you are one of our methods.
Irrigation, the way out for Turkana, out of the picture as the face of drought and constant dependence on food aid. This is the gospel that the government is preaching as it spends an additional 35.5 million shillings to expand the Katilu irrigation scheme from the current 500 acres to 2,000 acres. This is in spite of various irrigation projects in the county stalling or collapsing. As Zainab Wandati reports on Food Friday, the State Department of Irrigation maintains and that irrigation can and will work in Turkana County.
The scathing reality that paints a picture of how hunger slaps thousands of families in Turkana into physical, psychological, and emotional frailty, desperate and helpless. A script that repeats itself constantly. But in spite of this, the government remains hopeful that the county will soon no longer be the face of drought and hunger, because research has shown that at least 35% of the county's landmass is arable, even though only 2% of it is currently under production. Livelihoods in Turkana County are primarily based on extensive livestock production, but the impact of drought, increasing insecurity and famine has led to a growing emergence of experimentation with alternative livelihoods such as irrigation. And recently, the State Department of Irrigation expanded the Katilu irrigation scheme by a further 1,500 acres to a total of 2,000 acres.
If you produce an average of 30 bags per season and you do 2 seasons, you are capable of producing 100,000 bags of maize. So already with 100,000 bags of maize, you are capable of taking care of 100,000 people.
The Katilu irrigation scheme lies 130 kilometers south of Lodwar town, and it is one of the many irrigation schemes that dot this county along River Takwel. But one interesting thing is that despite all these irrigation schemes and the plenty of food that come from these irrigation schemes, the people in this county suffer perennial food shortages every year, something that even the government itself cannot explain.
The handicap in this production is the fact that we don't have enough extension officers. I think that has been where our weakest point is. Especially agronomists.
Some researchers have argued that the irrigation approach itself is the problem because it is forcing pastoralists to become farmers to grow crops that are not native to the environment.
I don't want to support the fact that we've not successfully convinced the livestock keepers to practice crop production. This is a continuous exercise. It is still going on, but I'm happy some of the farmers who have impressed crop production have done very well, and they are happy with it.
Kuna wale watu wale hawana mashamba, maybe wale wana kare tunasema huko reserve huko jangwani. Hao watu ndio pengine wakitaka msaada hiyo, hao ndio wanastahili kusaidiwa kwa mambo ya wanyama. Hao wakisapotiwa na wanyama itakuwa ni sawa. Lakini wale kwa mashamba wasapotiwe kulingana na mashamba.
With 2,000 acres of land in Katilu now under production, the scheme needs a steady flow of 1.5 cubic meters of water per second.
Sometimes when the water flows in the river are low, it brings a lot of conflict to the farmers because we are not able to divert enough water into our canals.
The Katilu scheme was started in 1969 but collapsed 3 decades later. But in the years since its revival, the 2,000 farmers who depend on it say that the quality of their lives has improved and their dependence on food aid reduced.
Msaada inakuja tu kidogo, maybe once. Kwa sababu wanasema hapa ni irrigation. Na bado tunahitaji mafunzo zaidi. Mafunzo ya siku moja haitatusaidia, inahitaji mafunzo maybe mara moja kwa mwezi ama baada ya mwezi 2 watu wapate mafundisho.
Zainab Wandati, NTV for Food Friday.
The Agricultural Finance Corporation has locked horns with farmers from the Bura irrigation scheme in Tana River County over a roadside announcement by Deputy President William Ruto that the government would write off debts owed to the financier. The farmers claim that AFC did not write off the debts and proceeded to hand them demand letters asking them to repay the loans. AFC, however, argues that only 2,146 cases met the threshold for the write-off and that letters to that effect were sent to the said farmers. Another 62 farmers did not meet the write-off threshold, and it is them who are needed to pay back their loans. AFC is accusing the 62 of defaulting without notice and that it will take action if they fail to pay. Kitui County is now ready to begin producing uniforms for the country's more than 11,000 chiefs and their assistants after it received production materials. Speaking after receiving the materials from the Administration Police Training College, Governor Charity Ngilu said the county textile factory is capable of delivering on the task within the given timeline. The delivery of the materials follows President Uhuru Kenyatta's directive last month that uniforms for all chiefs and their assistants across the country be produced by the Kitui County Textile Center, which was launched in October last year.
Ile sasa material tumeletewa hapa 23,400 meters ambazo zimeletwa hapa na zitatengeneza 6,600 pieces of uniform ya ma chiefs na assistant chiefs.
That's all the business news you needed to know this Friday. And of course, our business anchors return sometime next week because the special assignments are only supposed to last 14 days according to the Constitution. Don't go too far. Welcome back. Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula is a person of interest in the fake gold syndicate rocking the country. Not only has it become a heavy business for the high and mighty, with senior politicians tagging along, but it is also linked with powerful individuals in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Dubai and Russia. What has now emerged is how the Saudi prince was duped to pay millions of shillings to purchase gold from Kenyans, gold that was apparently non-existent as it was not delivered. The main man had by NTV communicating with one of the prince's agents sounds a lot like Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula. NTV's Mel Miendo with that expose.
The fake gold syndicate is turning out to be an interlinked web of powerful individuals with their proxies, and both have become very cunning in the trade. In a week of revelations about fake gold scams in the country, senior politicians have been mentioned adversely in the scam. Among them is Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula. A leaked phone call between a man who sounds like Wetangula and a foreigner with an accent who was said to be working for the prince shows a deal gone sour. The Arab said to have paid a colossal amount of money for gold that was not delivered to them. In the phone call, Wetangula is heard trying to calm the Arab man down by using the names of President Kenyatta, ODM leader Raila Odinga and Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i.
Raila met with the head of state on this matter.
Okay.
And explained to him.
Yes.
And the head of state has called the minister. The items are safe. And since Raila brought the attention of the boss, let him also go and explain to him what has been done so far. Then he will communicate to you.
Who will communicate it to me?
Through either Raila's people or through Zahir.
Okay.
To send your vessel to come and pick the items. So it is okay.
And you send your people. Zahir was the nominated by what you're saying of the minister to take care of his participation, this and that, and we bring it absolutely whatever you and the minister saying to us with it. Now, after that much time, your word, and the minister, and I mean Matiang and Zahir, they don't trust to no one else. They want the actions. They have more
Action
than...
is, my brother, I've told you, just know that it's going to be done.
But this is why we heard almost these 5 months, Moses. If we know that they are any movement on these codes and these things of these people, believe me, any movement will be a disaster for all of you, myself is included. Because
there will be none whatsoever. Take my word, my brother. It's only going to be positive and going to be resolved and done.
Then our goals of these people and are in the hand of who is right now? Because it was in the hands you and Matiang.
It is not in my hands, it is in the hands of the state.
No, it was not before. You say you have it before, and Matiang said it has under his control. If you remember, we have all
in his capacity as minister, not in any other capacity. I am 100% sure there is no problem.
Okay.
Just rest assured and tell Sheikh not to panic. We are finishing this matter and we'll come and toast together.
But when? This is the question for them, because they listening these words to me for 5 months.
You have to sit down and discuss this issue of money, because the amount of money that I've seen is not the amount of money.
It's not our problem. It's not our problem. There is a guy and the conversation that you took it and he took it. We know all this documents. And they cannot say who is.
Let's solve this matter. You know, shouting doesn't help. I've told you.
No, after 5 months, the patient will over. It's over. But Moses, don't forget that you are the first one with all the documents. Okay? You and him. Then don't play a game and waste their time, and don't make them more and more angry. If you are not able to do it, say no and don't play a game with them.
DCI detectives will be seeking to question the senator on his involvement in the fake gold scam. Another suspect, Jared Otieno, who was at the Milimani Law Courts this morning seeking to be released on bail and bond, will be spending 7 days at the Kilelesho police station. Detectives had sought to hold him for 14 days, but only half of this was granted for investigations to be completed. Otieno was charged with defrauding a South Asian businessman 300 million shillings who was dealing with buying and selling gold. The Kilelesho house, raided by detectives on Monday, 13th May 2019, is where the said businessman was lured for Otieno's workers to dupe him with fake gold.
The current court case that Jared Otieno is facing is not the only case he has here at the Milimani Law Courts. There are 2 or 3 others. Now, it is a syndicate, the fake gold one, that detectives have for long been investigating and trying to get inroads on the same. Mel Miendo, NTV, Milimani Law Courts.
Well, how about that? Moving on, I want to show you something. This is an acknowledgement slip. You're supposed to be given this upon registration for your Huduma number. And the question is, have you registered for your Huduma number? Well, if you haven't, it's your lucky day, because President Uhuru Kenyatta has extended the deadline by 1 more week, as Helen Aura tells us.
A sigh of relief for many Kenyans after many unregistered Kenyans turned up to beat what had been declared as the May 18th deadline. Kenyans have an extra week to ensure they are registered.
Kenyans are determined to register for their Huduma number, and I have obliged numerous requests to give them an opportunity to do so. I have therefore directed the National Interministerial Committee for implementation of this program to extend the registration period for another 1 week, and in this regard, therefore, the exercise will effectively close on Saturday, the 25th of May, 2019 at 6 p.m.
Majority of those who tried to register today had lined up by 6 a.m. waiting for the stations to be opened, exactly 39 days later since the launch of the exercise. For some, fear of being locked out is what drove them to be part of the process today.
Walisema line hazitafanya kazi bila Huduma namba ama pia kwenda kufanya kazi bila Huduma namba.
People are still not being Huduma'd.
In the past days, Huduma registration centers have witnessed a low turnout, with the Huduma officials even going door to door to register Kenyans as well as to offices and churches. According to the government, the Huduma number will enable Kenyans to get easy access to government services. This is not the only time Kenyans have been seen to be last-minute people, as the deadline to file tax returns approaches on the 30th of June. Some insist they still have time. The government had, before President Kenyatta's extension, maintained that it would budge on the deadline. Those who fail to be registered during the mass registration process will be required to go and register with their local assistant chief. In Mombasa, this was the situation, with many seeking registration. Some opted to make themselves comfortable as the process took longer than expected. In Nyeri, the narrative was the same.
Sijachukua hii Huduma namba, nimechelewa kwa sababu naenda job asubuhi sana. Nafuga jioni na sina hiyo masaa ya kuchukua.
Helen Aura, NTV.
Now, as Kenyans rushed to beat the deadline for registration for the Huduma number, the Law Society of Kenya has now called for caution and asked the government to abide by a court order that barred it from making the registration mandatory. LSK, in a press statement today, says that the Huduma number registration, otherwise known as the National Integrated Identity Management System, is not a mandatory exercise as had been ordered by the High Court. Their arguments are pegged on the ruling by a 3-judge bench which gave orders that barred the government from making the registration mandatory, setting time limits for registration and denying unregistered Kenyans access to government services. Now, LSK argues that by issuing threats to the public, the government had, in essence, violated the directions issued by the courts, leading to panic among Kenyans. And to a bit of politics, former Kakamega Senator Boni Halwale has today announced his defection from Ford Kenya to Jubilee Party, barely a week after his party summoned him to face a disciplinary committee over some sort of misconduct. The Ford Kenya deputy party leader made the announcement at his Malinya home in Kakamega County, where he was hosting Deputy President William Ruto. He cited threats by the Ford Kenya leadership to kick him out from the party as his reason of joining the ruling party. Halwale has been drumming up support for Ruto ahead of the 2022 presidential succession, a move that has angered a section of Ford Kenya officials who have been persistently calling for his resignation or suspension.
Take me being disciplined by Ford Kenya ndio nyinyi muwe katika serikali. Please Wetangula, shingo ndio hii, kata mara moja uniue walio waingie katika serikali. Mimi ndio nilikuwa nakuja kwenu kwa villages nikimwambia nasa hawa nasa. Nikaongeza TB Mtiara Land so. Mnakumbuka? Naomba tutoke huko.
Safari hii mimi nataka niwaulize watu wa Kitui na watu ya Kakamega. tutembee pamoja jameni, tuunde serikali ya 2022. Mko tayari? Mimi nawauliza kwa sababu hiyo ndio safari, hiyo ndio siasa ambayo itabadilisha Kenya. Afadhali tutembee na jirani. Ikiwa anakula nyama kule kwake, mimi najua hata sahau majirani wake.
Staying with politics, earlier today, nominated Member of Parliament Godfrey Osotsi was given a reprieve by the Political Parties Tribunal. The tribunal ordered a temporary ceasefire between Honorable Osotsi and the political party he belongs to, Amani National Congress, in response to the lawmakers' dissatisfaction with the decision made by the ANC party and the Registrar of Political Parties. For the time being, those decisions to deregister Osotsi as a member of the ANC will not be effected pending the hearing and determination of the case he filed, and which is scheduled to be mentioned in court on the 23rd of May. The case is also an appeal against the Registrar of Political Parties and subsequently will be heard on the 31st of this month. Now, two miners have been the subjects of vicious battles, I should say, in and out of court in the scramble for custody. But now the state has taken them from the guardians and adoptive parents and reintegrated them. So how did the miners end up in alternative family care, and why has the state taken them back? NTV embarks on a journey to unravel the mystery behind this saga. Here now is a sneak preview of this Sunday's NTV Investigates Court to Court. A rescue operation by the DCI Child Protection Unit.
You've taken him? Are you kidding me? You've just taken him. You have literally killed him.
This is a sick baby. You know, we are the only parents he's ever known.
Walikuwa pale ndani kwa karatasi ya polythene paper.
The guardianship process to start without involving Moga. That's one of the irregularities.
We have been denied access into New Life Home Trust.
There were two men holding guns. So you can imagine my shock.
You knew that the mother wanted her child back.
Let's now take a break. When we come back, Bullseye is next.
When the spirit of Kenya got going that magical day, it never looked back. And now, the same spirit is ready to take Kenya to the next level, led proudly by a new generation. Kenya King, Shangilia, Hustle ya Kenya.
Dakika mwisho, kipindi tena na salama. Ngoma inapigwa mbele, anapokea kifuani, anateremsha chini, kushoto kulia. Nao, ni pena na mchezaji adhabu kwenye eneo la hatari. Masalale, hii ni penalty. Penalty inakwenda kuchongwa hii. Anamwangalia goalkeeper machoni. Anaangalia kando. Anaupiga mpira. Ameficha kweli kweli.
Karibu Betini.
The global diaper brand Molfix is now in Kenya. Please welcome the Molfix Band.
Molfix, so absorbent. Playtime is much more fun than ever. Come on, it's time for playing. Molfix is comfy and we love it.
Molfix with its double absorbent system absorbs the liquid immediately and traps the liquid in. Also with its elastic side bands, Molfix offers freedom of movement. You should also try Molfix.
Have you registered for a Huduma number? It's a free government service that will make your life as a Kenyan resident easier.
I registered to get
a Huduma number. Now I can access
government services easily.
Education,
passport renewal,
ID replacement, business permit renewal,
work permit renewal, NHIF cover.
Welcome back to NTV Weekend Edition. Now, Kenyan politicians are likely to enter the Guinness Book of Records. Reason? They will have conducted the longest warm-up ahead of any political campaigns. The warm-up is intensifying, yet it's still 3 years before another contest. They enjoy disagreeing, and as Emmanuel Juma reports on Bullseye, even seeing or witnessing the exact same thing never changes their perspective.
Kipchumba Murkomen looked overly curious on this day. Was it the signature that captured his imagination or what?
Sadly, yesterday, Mr. Speaker, the President signed a bill into law that is purporting to amend, Mr. Speaker, various institutions of health in the country. I want to inform the nation that that is not law for purpose of our Constitution, that, Mr. Speaker, that law cannot be enforced anywhere in this republic.
Yet, he was there all along, but said nothing.
I don't know whether the picture taken when the president was signing this bill into law is correct, but I saw Senator Murkomen there. Maybe that's an old picture. But he was there staring. He should have protested.
Mr. Speaker, if you look at that picture critically, I was very sad, Mr. Speaker.
He was there too. Dwale, spill the beans.
Where was Kipchumba Murkomen the last 6 months?
I knew nothing about existence of an health bill being presented to the president until a few minutes just before the president signed it.
You cannot lead a rebellion in the Senate against the government. I think that was a bit reckless.
His personal attacks that are, as I said, they are too childish for us who are in leadership to be able to engage in.
Why go to State House, take a photo with the president when he's signing the bill, and then come around back and then, start crying like a small kid?
When you are not very sure about yourself, you have certain complexities, you think that when other people shine, it will be to your disadvantage.
The Swahili saying, palipo na wazee hapaharibiki neno, does not apply for these two. The majority leaders are at war, and a new agreement may be required.
Manake pale ambapo mlikuwa mnaandikana, sisi hatukukuweko huko. Mlikuweko? Mlikuweko?
If you are used to conning people in parties and deceit in your agreements with fellow leaders, don't export those bad manners into our political party.
Sisi hatukukuweko huko. Nataka kuunganisha Kenya iwe kama kitu kimoja. Hiyo ndio tuliahidiana mimi na Uhuru.
Wale viongozi wengine wawachane na porojo mingi, wawachane na story mingi. Na mimi nataka niwaulize wale wengine ambao wanatupigia makelele mambo ya Jubilee, kama wewe uko na chama yako. My friends, tuheshimu kama chama ya Jubilee.
These two may have had the same political teacher at some point, even shared some moments. But remember, it's now 2019.
Very fundamental and big changes coming to Kenya.
Kuna wengine wanatuambia story ati Kenya itabadilika. Ni mabadiliko ya mamlaka, ya vyeo, ya wanasiasa.
You cannot resist change. If you try to resist change, change will change you.
Mimi nataka niwaambie mambo ya wanasiasa na vyeo na mamlaka, hiyo tulimaliza wakati wa uchaguzi. Ile mabadiliko wananchi hawa wanangojea ni ya barabara, ya maji.
Wengine wanasema ya kwamba hapana, Wakenya hawataki mabadiliko, Wakenya wanataka maji, Wakenya wanataka stima. Ndio, tunataka maji. Lakini Kenya isipobadilika, hiyo pesa ya maji ambayo vile tuliona juzi imewekwa katika ile damu ya Aror na Kimwarer iliibiwa yote.
And it's still 3 years before the bell can be rung. What would Gideon Moi call this moment?
Hii ndio ile pale tunasema the starting point of knowing each other.
And he's just warming up.
Wakati itafika na jameni itafika, kila mtu atatoa koti yake, twende kiwanjani.
For now, though, they can contend with simple things like undressing each other in public.
Hiyo mabadiliko yenu mnaongelea ati mabadiliko ya maisha ya viongozi na vyeo na viti na hiyo mambo ingine, tunataka tuwaambie Kenya hii sio ya wanasiasa peke yake.
Wewe unahangaika kusema ati watu ni vitu wanataka. Wewe ndio unataka kiti, lakini hutapata kiti peke yako.
And here is another group that needs to be told kitaeleweka on matters gluttony. Just attempt asking them about it. And they continue laughing all the way to the bank at your expense.
There is a mission to demean members of parliament and reduce them to beggars.
I worked. I fought it out to be a member of parliament. I campaigned. I used my resources. I want to be paid well.
Emmanuel Juma, Bullseye, NTV.
On that Bullseye note, let's take another break. When we come back, Brian Otwell has the day's sports.
Welcome, my name is Brian Otwal. The Mashemeji derby between Gor Mahia and FC Leopards highlights this weekend's Kenyan Premier League action, with the match set to be played on Sunday at the Kasarani Stadium from 4:15 p.m. Both teams were surprisingly beaten in their midweek matches, which will add spice to an already tense game between two bitter rivals. A win for Gor will bring them to within 1 point of retaining their title for a third straight season, while victory for Leopards will maintain their push for a top 10 finish in the table. In Saturday's matches, bottom of the table Mount Kenya United host Sony Sugar in Machakos. Kariobangi Sharks clash with KCB at the Kasarani Stadium. Nzoia Sugar plays Sofapaka at their Sudi Stadium, and Posta Rangers meet Kakamega Homeboys in the late kickoff in Machakos. And the national men's volleyball team will be seeking to emulate the Malkia Strikers' dominance by qualifying to the Africa Games with a win at the Zone 5 qualifier set for next month at the Kasarani Stadium. The men's team, who have had more training time compared to their female counterparts, are optimistic they will stick to Italian coach Shailene Ramdu's lessons impacted to them in training. Kenya will host the men's volleyball Zone 5 All-Africa Games qualification tournament between June 5th and 10th in Nairobi. To advance to the Continental Quadrennial event in Rabat, Morocco, Kenya will have to overcome countries like Egypt, Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, Ethiopia, Sudan, South Sudan, Djibouti, Eritrea, Tanzania, and Somalia,
we need some dedication and experience. We also have players who are really psyched up. You can see from their faces, and I think those are the guys that will do the work for us.
Under the tutelage of coach Moses Epoloto, assisted by GSU coach Paul Mudinja, the team has been boosted by the arrival of FIVB second coach Italian Shailene Ramdu, who will accompany the women's team to Kampala before returning to the men's technical bench. Kenya has only managed to get to the semi-finals of the All-Africa Games twice, in 2007 and 2011, where they finished third. They were, however, denied a qualification chance by Rwanda in 2015.
We've seen some impact. He has brought some new life in the team. He has given a few about his own history, and I think that will work for us.
Epoloto has named 4 debutants: KPA duo of Enoch Mogeni and Sami Ngen, as well as Equity's James Mutero and Kevin Omusa in his provisional squad of 20, captained by Jairus Kipkosgei. The men's competition is always deemed to be very stiff and unforgiving compared to that of the women's. Hence, they need ample and adequate time for preparation, and Kenyan Volleyball Federation Technical Director David Lungaho, who also doubles up as Prison's men's team coach, knows exactly what needs to be worked on.
Men especially have some of the strongest services, and yesterday Ramdu was with the men, and that is what he insisted on. We must have tough services, and then we should forget the issue of losing services each and every time, because that has also been a major disease. People should concentrate more and think of putting the services in. At the same time, the services should be tough.
The men's team will be out to redeem themselves after poor outings, with home support serving as a booster in their battle for the sole ticket to Morocco in August. And former world javelin champion Julius Yego will lead Kenyan athletes to the second leg of the IAAF Diamond League in Shanghai, China on Saturday. The Olympic silver medalist, who has been out injured, is aiming at improving on his throws, his personal best standing at 92.72 meters. The men's 5,000 meters race will witness a strong representation from Kenya. 5,000 meters. facing off this time at a different venue, the Kakamega Showgrounds. Kabras, who are unbeaten this season, will host the final by virtue of finishing top of the standings in the regular season. KCB have won the 2 times the teams have met, and meanwhile promoted Kisumu RFC and Western Bulls will clash in the KRU Championship final, which will be the curtain raiser of the Kenya Cup final. In Nairobi, the Den at the Den in Ruaraka, the host final of the Eric Shally Shield between KCB 2 and Homeboys 2. Manchester City will attempt to wrap up an impressive domestic treble when they take on Watford in the FA Cup final at Wembley on Saturday evening. Pep Guardiola's side go into English football's showpiece fixture on an enormous high, having successfully retained the title with a 4-1. Weekend. This is also a lot more going on sports, starting also from 2 p.m. Yep, from 4 p.m. that is.
KCB and Kabras.
Kabras, who do you think?
The usual ones, the bankers.
KCB. Yeah. All right, but Kabras may come up top this time.
Let's see. Let's wait. Thank you so much for being with us on this Friday on NTV Weekend Edition. We leave the studio because the trend is about to start, and guess who is in the house?
TID,
kama tuko wote. Can you remember that song?
Yep.
And also Kagwe Mungai, who is a launching
or something.
You must have been a kid.
Oh, so you are an old guy, eh?
I see. So many years behind these knees, my friend.
Father Abraham talking right there.
Okay, bye-bye. The trend is coming up with Amina Abdirabar and Usha Jose as well. Good night.
Good night.
This is NTV.
Karibuni to Watch and Win hapa NTV. My name is Jeroge.
And I am Tracy Wanjura, and we have come to the end of a fantastic week. Yes, we have given away shopping vouchers worth 2,500 Kenya shillings for every single day. And on Monday, we gave away a trip to Masai Mara. My dear here was supposed to go to the Mara. What happened?
Mara hiyo. Kazi kafanyika.
But yes, good to see all bonfire adventures. And on Friday, Jogo is going to tell us what we have for you. But don't forget,
oh yes,
the grand prize.
Of course, grand prize tunaongea kuhusu dupes. Na si Dubeli, si hapa Dubai, ni tunaongea Dubai ya ukweli pale Burj Khalifa, mji mkuu wa UAE. Ai, lakini leo ni ile siku tunasemaga tunafunga wiki na kishindo, siku ya NTV kinene ni 40 inch. Adwagai, leo ni ile siku tunapatiana TV bili na shopping voucher gapi? 4. Tracy, tunangojea nini?
Simply look out for questions every hour on what you have watched. The questions will be as easy as ABC.
Alafu unachukua simu yako, reply 1 or 2 ukianza na word win to 20686. SMS hailipishwi, endelea kuwatch, ungoje kushinda.
If you are the lucky winner, you will receive a call from 0719038866.
Kumbuka, sheria na mashati inafuatiliwa.
Our 2 lucky winners who walk away with a brand new TV courtesy of Watch and Win with NTV are... And our winners for the 4 shopping vouchers are... Congratulations to all our winners, but do not worry because we still have more gifts for you.
Oh yes, na ukumbuke the grand prize inakaribia. Countdown sasa ni wiki gapi? 2. Dupes. Sisemi Dubai nesite, sisemi hapa na Dubai. Nakuongelesha mambo ya Dubai, UAE. Hapo ukinipata hapo ni kama nimeduga keftani yangu juu ya Burj Khalifa.
And you know what? Njoroge keeps talking about Dubai, and now I'm slowly feeling like, you know what? I might jump onto Njoroge's bandwagon and head to Dubai with him. But that is the grand prize courtesy of Bonfire Adventures. Thank you so much for keeping NTV. Keep watching because you also get to win.